entangling, we won't know one state from the other. I think it means no visibility. It means you do whatever you want to do. And they do it out of the limelight and out of oversight. There's never been this kind of relationship, but this tops them all because this is state to state.
It's really a form of gaslighting. And if you don't believe in it, it's existential. You're going to lose your kids. You're going to lose your household. You're going to lose your livelihood. Everything is going to be, it's going to become a very dark and dismal world.
You spent years inside the Pentagon. When you read Section 224, what does it tell you about where this relationship is actually heading, and what sort of stood out to you at first?
Well, it tells me that we've dramatically departed from George Washington's more or less dictum about entangling alliances and decided to have one that is so entangling we won't know one state from the other. And I mean that in a very, very injurious sort of way for the United States and ultimately probably for Israel too, because what we're doing is taking it out of any kind of limelight, the kind of visibility, for example, that got Josh Paul to resign from political military affairs at the State Department and leave. It negates all the things we put in place. However, Joe Biden and Jake Sullivan and Tony Blinken proved those things don't really matter, to make sure we don't sell these massively deadly arms to people who kill women and children with them and do other heinous things with them. And I was there when the Israelis used an Apache helicopter to fire into a fourth floor hotel room to kill a Hamas leader and kill 2 little children and 2 women. And we at least demarched them. We sent a nasty note that you're not supposed to be doing this with equipment we have sold you under the provisions we sold it to you. This means a negation of all of that. I think it means no visibility. It means you do whatever you want to do. And even more insidious possibly is Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, RTX now, Boeing, Grumman, and others, and similar equivalents in Israel, do whatever they want to do. And they do it out of the limelight and out of oversight. So we already have price overruns by a huge margin, worst we've ever had in the history of the DoD and the military-industrial complex relationship. And this makes it's an imitation of more and more disastrous waste of people's money to pay CEOs of companies like Lockheed Martin.
Is there any historical precedent for this?
I can't find any. We at the Eisenhower Media Network did a sort of a archival search to see if there's any precedent for this kind of relationship, and we concluded, still looking at it, but we concluded no, there's never been this kind of relationship between supposed allies, even friendly states, whatever you want to call it. There's never been this kind of relationship. You can look back at World War II when I.G. Farben and companies in America, read Missouri Mule about Harry Truman's Special Investigating Committee and how he exposed this. We're dealing with one another. And we were selling actually probably some of the ingredients for the gas in the gas chambers in Hitler's extermination centers. So we've had nasty relationships like that before, but this tops them all because this is state to state, and therefore condoned by both capitals.
I want to play 2 clips that I want to get both yours and Chris's opinions. They're quite short, so just bear with me. This is from, Trump did an interview today. We'll play a couple of clips from this, but here's a real, it's just funny.
First one to get hit, there would be no Israel. Tell you what, if there wasn't me, there would be no Israel right now. And it started off as when I terminated the horrible Barack Hussein Obama, the Iran nuclear deal.
Weren't for me, there would be no Israel today. But that recalls that, to me, it recalls an earlier clip of Benjamin Netanyahu.
Because our civilization is based on the Judeo-Christian tradition. And if the Maccabees had failed, there'd be no Judaism. There would be no Judeo-Christian civilization. There would be no Maccabees. There would be no United States. There wouldn't be the civilization of freedom.
Got some conflicting opinions here. One says if it weren't for me, Israel wouldn't exist. The other one said if it weren't for Jews, the United States wouldn't exist.
Well, you're listening to 2 of the most accomplished liars on the face of the earth. I mean, that's their claim to fame in many respects. And Netanyahu's claim may be the most egregious because he's doing like Huckabee did, and Ted Cruz and a host of others in the Christian nationalist world we live in. He's using the Old Testament to inform history. And I'm sorry, the Old Testament is not history. It's something written down by a bunch of old men, mostly about another bunch of old men who had this idea that would persevere through time. And it is not history. And in fact, many real historians have disputed much of what's in the Old Testament in terms of Netanyahu-like terms, for example, and in terms of real history. It's just not accurate when you look at it closely. And you have to understand, too, I think, about if you are a Christian and a practicing Christian, Catholic or otherwise. My wife used to say, "Are Catholics Christians?" She was Catholic. It was a joke with her. But if you look at it very closely, when King James sat down to do the revision of the New Testament, it was more about establishing Great Britain as Great Britain than it was revising the New Testament. And what he did during the process of doing that was send troops and others all over England and some into the colonies, as it were, Scotland and Ireland, for example, to kill Catholics, to murder them. So the provenance of all of this stuff is really questionable. And certainly in terms of making history from it, it's extremely questionable. I'll go back to Jeremiah and his prophecies with regard to Israel. Unheeded, a Cassandra of his time, unheeded. And then all of a sudden, Nebuchadnezzar, I think it was Nebuchadnezzar II, destroyed the temple and captured the Israeli people and put them in slavery for about 40 years, burned the temple down. So, this is all wonderful if you want to keep a political mystique going for yourself like Bibi does, but it has no relation to real history. And it's distorting to the extent that it gives cult-like figures, which I would include Huckabee in, our ambassador in Jerusalem. It gives them a credibility that they shouldn't have. And I must say it gives senators like Ted Cruz a credibility that you shouldn't have.
I agree with Colonel Wilkerson. I think it's ahistorical, and it's done merely to justify their contemporary politics and their contemporary policies. That's all it is. And I'm a historian and a religious scholar by training. None of it adds up. None of it. It's all modern. It's all very much entangled in political movements and ideologies stemming from the 19th century onwards. And there is nothing rooted, neither in the religious side nor in the deeper sort of political transformations over history that can justify this kind of language. It's really brute force. It's really a form of gaslighting to tell the people that somehow this is a necessary relationship, and if you don't believe in it, it's existential. You're going to lose your kids. You're going to lose your household. You're going to lose your livelihood. Everything is going to become a very dark and dismal world, which of course we all would agree is quite the contrary of what the world would be like if this didn't happen and didn't continue.
Imagine all the people.
Exactly.
Everybody sings on our show. It's so fantastic.
Yeah.
Larry,
well, your comment, Chris, your comments are very mindful to me of the comments that occurred about 2 weeks after 9/11. We convened a meeting on Georgetown University's campus and brought everyone we could get our hands on, with Georgetown's president's help, into the campus. Every religion you can think of came to that meeting, and we sat around on a table and at a big table, and we asked each other the question, what do we do now to stop what's going to happen inevitably in this country? First of all, hunting down Muslims and killing them wherever they are, or persecuting them, whatever, and all the other things that are going to happen when people bring these kind of ideas into play after this tragic event. And some of the conversation around that table was really enlightening conversation coming from rabbis, imams, all manner of people. Much of the success of it was because Georgetown knew what it was doing, put it together. And that became an advisory council for the President of the United States. As limited as he was, it did have some leavening effect on some of the revenge-filled talk and possible actions that might have followed had we not done that.